ماشومان د هرې ټولنې تر نیمایي زیاته برخه جوړوي.
First of all, I hope everyone who hears me is doing well and having a nice day. Wish you have started a great day too. For sure, about myself, well, I am Mahsa, 13 years old, in 8th grade. If schools were not banned, I would have been studying the same grade in a government school. But because of the situation, currently I am studying the 8th grade in a secret school. In my family, there is 6 people, which consists my mother, my 2 sisters, my grandmother, and my little brother, who is the youngest and has only 5 years old. My family and I are not living with my father, since he is a drug addict, and even we're hiding from him, because once he attempted to make us, I mean my sister and I, to marry someone for the money. Since my grandfather was a general in the previous government, they have powers. On the other hand, the government is always in the men's side, and everyone and everything in here is patriarchal. So we are hiding from them, because if not for the money, they would do that arranged marriage for the fame, since it is a very important thing for men here, unfortunately. Obviously, that was a very terrible feeling to experience, for everyone, for every girl. It wrenched my heart, because just the idea of not being allowed to have something that were meant for me due to ridiculous reasons is terrifyingly awful. Deep down, my lovely dream was to study, graduate from university, and have a very good job. To live differently, to get away from my father with my family as a grown, educated woman. I felt a fresh wound in my soul, something that still bleeds. The bleeding frightens me, and this scary feeling chased me like an unfortunate sorrow, and I almost every time ask myself, what should I do? What would happen? A question that thinking about it is really exhausting. Personally, for me, when the new government took over the country, I was in 6th grade, and I knew that would be my last year that I would be able to study in a real school as a student. Or even my last year I could see those nostalgic tables, chairs, boards, teachers and books. The sensation of agony was that unbearable that at the last day of my 6th grade, uncontrollably my classmates and I were shedding tears, deep down hoping one day we will be able to study together as classmates, people who have and own the right to study. I well knew something broke down inside me that day. As I said, I'm studying in a secret school, therefore the hard and also the most important part is being careful, acting carefully and not recklessly to be hidden from the eyes, because we don't want to lose this thin thread of hope as well. Well, for me, being always tied up, all ears and careful about my surrounding is something familiar. I'm always afraid to be found by my father. If once it happens, that's the end for me. This is an unignorable fact that a lot of things have changed through the exact moment the new government took over the country, which also refers to a lot of people's ambitions. I'm not an exception after all. For example, I have always dreamed of being a professor who teaches physics or chemistry in a university. Well, they're my favorite subjects. It might also be something I always love to become one day by looking at my mother due to different reasons, like she is a teacher in a school too, and in my eyes, she really is someone powerful, an amazing woman, mother, and a teacher. But now, first, I can't legally study in an actual school. Secondly, educational places, all the educational places like a school and university is banned for women. So no matter how I look at this, it is not possible, which is badly painful. It is basically very hard for me to say what is the exact reason that I am moving or looking forward, but the word for the purpose of keeping people alive as a phenomenon so called hope. Hoping one day I can achieve my goals, be a useful member of society, not someone who is ignored by the world or is looked down by her own pupil. Firstly, because a family who has no male member, especially father, is highly and insanely discriminated, which makes living here like a living hell. My biggest dream is to live in a peaceful place, have equal rights, and be with my family happy. For achieving them, unfortunately, and very much unlikely, none of the things I dream of can be possible where I live. I live by being grateful I did not face my father that day, and being grateful for having food for a day. And of course, the fact that I can't study is already mentioned. Sometimes the suffocating feeling that says where I was born is not where I can call a home haunts me. Since my childhood, where I lived and it was a so-called house never felt like a home. It hurts and it's true. To be found by the government, that's right. Or the government find out about my school's location, because if that happens, it means that I will lose my school for the second time. Well, a hopeless being clings to the last thread of hope. I am grateful I'm able to study. It feels like the last piece of who I was when I do so. Something I can remember the young, happy me, whose dreams and youth were not taken away from her. My plans for the future, firstly, I hope things are not as it is in the future. It really changed a lot of things, but considering only current situation, well, I will study harder and double my efforts so I can be able to teach and be a good teacher, or continue my education by having a scholarship, for the reasons that learning and teaching is my passion and it's not something that I could ever or never ignore it. When I say I will teach, by God's willing, I mean starting serious classes, absolutely hidden and secretly, by my mother's company, since she is an experienced teacher not going to ignore the fact that I was inspired by the secret schools I am studying in, and I'm very grateful to it. About the classes, like I am in 8th grade and I am teaching students from 4th grade up to 7th grade because if I can, I must help and I see it as my responsibility. So my dream is to one day officially make one. If things go as it is, I cannot envision something bright for my future. It it really can't be. And that's the only thing I can say about it now. I have studied English for an year and a half in the previous government for sure. Not now. I'm not so good or fluent in it, but thank you very much. Well, I really want to be financially able to have different classes for different studies. For example, like improving my English language, but unfortunately, financially problems are not letting my siblings and I to do this. Some academies are still available in capital for the girls, but the fee is so high, and even if not for the others, for me, they're they're so high to pay. And the other one that I really like to teach, but because I am always moving from one house to another one, I can never have a stable students and classes. And it's my dream to be able to rent a good house in a good place, so I can at least have the same students for 6 months. But renting a good house in a good place really requires a lot of money. And if I will be able to do this, that would be the greatest support I can receive.